There is greatness in this room. I feel a connection with you. I know you feel it too. I can feel your vibration. There is greatness in this room. I feel a connection with you. I know you feel it too. I can feel your vibration. This is how first-year teacher, Mr. Williams, opened his class. You see, many of his peers felt as though he had been saddled with one of the roughest, uneducated, unruly students that had no type of chance, no type of guidance in their lives, so why even bother? But he decided he wasn't going to listen to that. So the first day he comes into class, with his back turned, he writes, Mr. Williams, 5th grade class, room 106. As he turns around, there's this kid in the front row with his leg kind of stretched out, and kind of giving him the business, and he said, son, is it you? And the little boy said, nah, man. I said, okay. Went over in the 3rd row, saw a little girl with little red barrettes in her hair, and he said, sweetheart, is it you? And she sheepishly, who, me? No. Saw a little boy over in the corner, hand half-raised, with Coke bottle glasses, and he said, young man, is it you? And the little boy shook his head. And I share that story with you about Mr. Williams, and I'll revisit him in a moment, because it's our desire, our goal, our purpose is to have a deep connection with you today. So much so that it will, yeah, we want to entertain you, but we also want to compel you to act upon the things that resonated with you, so that it just isn't like some little talk that you went to one day and then you forget about it after it's over. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? We've all done that. I definitely have. So I'm going to share a little story with you. About 1.5 years ago, I had gone to my first wine tour, and I was so flat fired up. It doesn't take too much to get me excited anyway. So I'm there, and initially, my mind went, moo, as we're being ushered into this room. And then I walked in, and it was just opulently decorated. There was marble, and there was beveled glass, and all this mahogany. I said, now this is going to be an experience. I was pretty excited. I looked around the room, didn't know anyone there, which never bothered me anyway. So we're sitting there, and the guy that was the host, he starts sharing all the different tones and personalities of wines, and I'm just sitting there, I kept going, huh? You know, that sounds like someone that I know. I mean it in a good way, guys. So the first one that he talked about was a Shiraz, and he said it was bold and confident. And I said, okay, like a leader. And I said, okay, this is pretty cool. I'm kind of onto something here. And then he talked about a Cabernet Sauvignon, and I said, And the way that he described it in that particular vineyard made me think of like a social butterfly. Like they were kind of the one that walked in the room, and everyone kind of was drawn and flocked over to them. And then he talked about a Merlot, kind of mellow, the peacemaker a little bit. And the last one he talked about was a Zinfandel, and that was more of the one that was the executor of everything. They were kind of like the one that would carry out the plans. And I said, that's pretty cool. So I rush home, and I get back, and I start checking out some of the ingredients of this particular vineyard's wines. And I said, you know, there is a little bit of a correlation here. I think I'm onto something. So fast forward, about 1.5 months ago, this new hot spot opened up in Old Town. And I go there, and about 14, 15 of my friends are there. And it was pretty cool. So my good friends, George and Tammy, had brought 2 of their friends, Christine and Laura. So this is why it's important for us to really take people as they are. And as you've heard so many of us talk about embracing our diversity, applauding it even. So I'm going to share a little secret with you guys. Promise me you won't tell. I had to mute my inner critic, if you know what I mean. So I'm there, and this gal, Christine, within about 3 minutes of knowing me, she says, hey, Jackie, do you happen to know anybody who's hiring in the area? I don't know what it was that made her think that I even would. I said, well, you know, sometimes. She said, well, because the reason I ask is my girlfriend Laura just got her diploma, and she's looking for a job. So I'm standing there, and of course, you know, Christine's kind of, you know, doing her dance for her friend. Laura is doing absolutely nothing. She just stood there. And I'm thinking, girl, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. You better talk it up. You got a moment. This is your time to get a job. Seriously. She did absolutely nothing. I stood there. My inner critic said, well, she obviously doesn't want it bad enough. She's not talking up. Why is her girlfriend talking for her? Fortunately for me, I silenced that critic. And I said, okay, I did a little gut check. I ran over to my friend. I knew he would know. He has his pulse on everything going on in the valley. He immediately told me of 2 instances that he knew was hiring. That was a huge lesson for me, because I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but I come back from a place where people kind of said, you probably heard of this, bless us for and no more. Anybody ever heard of that? Bless us for and no more means that as long as my stuff is together, I really don't even need to think about it. I have a roof over my head, I'm driving my car, I've got food on my table, I'm not going to invest that moment. You know, you stood in Target or whatever place have you been in, you've overheard a conversation, didn't want to get involved because you didn't want anyone to feel as though you were encroaching on them. I'm so glad that I did, because this gal has gotten an interview. It looks as though she's going to get hired. And that is a way that we can actively impact our community. In order for things to change, there has to be a change. In order for things to change, there has to be a change. In order for things to change, there has to be a change. So yeah, when you're sitting there and you're thinking of, oh my gosh, why do I care about this person's personality? Who cares if this person is bold or a leader? Who cares if this person is more of an introvert? Who cares if this person is more of a social butterfly? Who cares if this person is more of a taskmaster and a do-it-now type person? Because you need to know who your audience is to know how to navigate with them and to take that time, to take that moment, and to value it. And I learned it very easily and simply that day. And it made me look at things, because I kept thinking that, because in case you haven't figured out, I'm a high Shiraz, and I'm a low Cabernet Sauvignon. That's the kind of social butterfly part of myself that goes and says hi first to everyone. Perfect blend of my parents, by the way, but that's a whole nother conversation. So when you're out there in the marketplace, instead of just getting the clicker and putting your garage door down, instead of just standing in line and saying, you know, bless us for and no more, I would challenge you to just take the risk and to turn around and say, you know what industry do you represent? I actually happen to know someone who does X, Y, or Z. That is how we're going to create that change that we want in our community. I looked outside at a lot of the postings that people put up there, the things that they wanted to see in our valley. And it's very interesting, almost like a serendipitous type thing going on with a thread of what everybody has been sharing today. We all want to see some change. We all want to embrace our uniqueness. We all want to embrace and string back together our diversity. And that's really what this TEDxTemecula is all about, to be totally honest with you. So now I'm going to go back to Mr. Williams. It's the last day of school. Mr. Williams is up on the board, writing Mr. Williams, room 106. 5th grade class. And he says, there is greatness in this room. I feel a connection with you. I know you feel it too. I can feel your vibration. There is greatness in this room. I feel that connection with you. I know you feel it too. I can feel your vibration. This time when he turned around, all the kids were on their feet saying, Mr. Williams, it's me, Mr. Williams, it's me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.